Good morning, Birmingham Unitarian Church. Good morning. Welcome to all, whether you're visiting us for the first time or whether you've been here many times before. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary on this snowy morning, or if you're cozy at home watching via Zoom or watching the recording later, it's good to connect with you. Today, children will be with us in the sanctuary to hear a story before heading to their activities of the morning. The family room, located to the left, in the back of the sanctuary, has audio of the service piped in, and that's available for parents and children. And care is also available in the nursery on the lower level, and that's for infants and children through age 5. By greeting our virtual neighbors, we build a bridge between online and in-person participants. First, we'll project on our screen the image of all the folks who are cozy on Zoom today at home. And if you want to turn on your cameras and give us a wave, you can do that. Now, those of us who are here in the sanctuary are invited to turn and face the camera and give the folks on Zoom a wave. If you're with us in person, please join us after the service in Hodis Hall for coffee, conversation, and donuts. And the Hodis Hall is located to the left as you exit the sanctuary. Our newcomer table is a place where visitors and newcomers can meet and chat with members of the congregation and with each other. All are encouraged to drop by, just look for the colorful sign. And if you're with us on Zoom, you can stay on the call for a virtual coffee hour right after the service ends. Whenever, however, and wherever we connect with BUC, we are building this beloved community.
Today's chalice lighting is Blessed Are We by Andrea Hawkins Kemper. Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together in this space today. Blessed are we, the chalice lighters of resistance, justice, love, and faith. Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcasts, the walkers of our own way. Blessed are we, the border crossers, the refugees, the immigrants, the poor, the wanderers who are not lost. Blessed are we, the hand extenders, the sign makers, the protesters, the protectors. Blessed are we, the trans women, the trans men, the non-binary, the cisgender, the multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we, the friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic. Blessed are we who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot. Blessed are we who do not. Blessed are we for this, our beloved community, and this is who we are.
I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People." Welcome to this place, a place where hope can be nourished. In a world that profits from despair, our gathering is a declaration of faith. We declare that joy still rises, that kindness still matters, that hope is not dead. We come to remember we are not alone. May our time together restore us to wonder, strengthen our resolve, and return us to the world as bearers of hope that sustains the work of resistance.
For today's story, I actually have a few words by a few different folks here. What shall we tell you when our world sometimes seems dark and uninviting? What shall we tell you when hateful words that wound and bully are thrown like bricks against a wall, shattering into debris? What shall we tell you when respect for others and treating others as we wish to be treated appear as yesterday's borrowed wish? What shall we tell you when our differences are juggled like fragile eggs that could be smashed at a moment's impulse? What shall we tell you? What shall we tell you? We shall tell you that love, like cream in milk, will rise to the top, and hatred and distrust will be revealed as impostors. We shall tell you that peace, desirable like a restful night after a long day at play, is not far away. Reach for it. We shall tell you that respect for others, like a delicious ice cream bar dripping on holding fingers, tastes better than contempt. We shall tell you that we love you, all of you. And because we love you, we will be there to help bring light to the dark places. We will be there with peace and justice as our tools, and love as a soothing salve to comfort and embrace. We shall tell you that because we are there for you, always be there for you, it will be all right. It will be all right. Together, we will make it work to make it all right. The earthquakes, the militias, history, hairpins, and switchbacks like a mountain road. Things fall apart, no doubt. But good people wake up every day to thank and to ask what they can do to make things better. People call things back together when they choose to act on behalf of our planet and all life spinning with us on her around the sun. Worrying only wastes our limited time and darkens our sky with cumulonimbus clouds. All we can do is hold faith and go on, leaving our tiny footprints in history. Today's acts of good will change tomorrow. Good is, and good is in control, and good will win. Today in religious education, we're embracing a cozy snow day spirit with blanket forts and hot chocolate and time to simply be together. This too is religious education. As we continue our theme of practicing resistance, we're inspired by Tricia Hersey's reminder that rest is resistance in a world that asks us to keep pushing even when we are overwhelmed. With so much sadness and fear in the world, especially in the last 24 hours, choosing rest, care, and connection is a meaningful, values-centered practice. So at this time, we'll have all of our children and youth meet us in the pavilion as we head off to our space together.
I think I told you guys I do my crying on Sundays. So, as somebody who frequently organizes protests and is sort of a movement leader, I often get comments or questions from people who are feeling cynical or despondent, and they say, what's the point of protesting? Why are we doing this? We all came together, we did this thing, and nothing changed. Nothing happened. What's the point? What are we actually accomplishing every time we go out to protest? And to them I say, every protest is practice. Every action is a training. No, we're not going to solve every problem with one protest or one action. But every time we respond to something and we say no, or we say, yes, we want more of this, or we say, not in my backyard and not in your backyard either. Every time we flex our muscles by showing up, and we learn, and we get better, and we get more efficient. Protest movements require building. They don't just happen. It's not a flash. It's not something that just is. We have to figure out how to do this and how to do it well and how to do it over and over and over again until we reach that critical mass. People who study protest movements, effective, nonviolent protest movements that actually topple oppressive regimes, it can be done, and it is what happens most often around the world. There are lots of people who are getting to the point where they feel like all of our nonviolent actions aren't leading anywhere and they're not getting us anywhere fast enough, and they are starting to say, we need to reach for our own guns. We need to bring out those guillotines. We need to start fighting fire with fire. Well, I hate to break it to you, but fighting fire with fire just brings more fire. We fight fire with water. All right? We put it out, and we do it nonviolently. The most effective protest movements that did not resort to violence are the ones that worked. And all you need to accomplish that, they have found the tipping point is about 3% of the population. When 3% of your population is engaged and ready at a moment's notice and can show up and can peacefully occupy and shut it down, that is when real change happens. So why? What are we doing? What do we do when we go to protests? We're practicing. We're training. So when they invade Detroit, we'll have the strength and the know-how and the muscle memory on how to respond. When they kill our Keith Porter, our Renee Good, our Victor Manuel Diaz, when they kill our Alex Peretti, when they kill you or me, we will have built a movement that knows how to respond and respond on our terms. UUs have a long history of being martyrs for social justice causes. So, what was the good of going to the Women's March? What was the point of Black Lives Matter? What was the March for Our Lives, or the March to Save Women's Lives, or the No Kings protests, or the Tesla takedowns, or Minnesota's Day of Truth and Freedom boycott and shutdown? What did that accomplish? It built our movement's muscle. So we have the strength to respond every time and everywhere, unrelenting and on our terms, with singing, humor, peace, and love. Protesting is living our UU values and making sure that they outlive us. Because we may not see the end of this, but we can help build our way out of it.
Good morning, everyone. I am a social justice activist, and I also serve as the director of the Michigan UU Social Justice Network. That's our statewide action network of UU congregations. I'd like to expand on some of the things that Julia talked about, and beginning also with something that Shannon said in her reading, that people wake up every day and look for ways to do some good in the world. So I'd like to illustrate that with an example, a very real recent example. Any of you heard of Avelo Airlines? Some have not. In April, Avelo Airlines is a kind of a budget airline that serves smaller markets, smaller cities across the country. And in April of 2025, they signed a contract with the US government to fly immigration detainees. They did that because they needed the revenue. From May to December, they flew 1,945 ICE air flights. That's a total, 18% of the total of people that were being transported. So what did people do? People began picketing at airports where Avelo was servicing, including Detroit. People were out at DFW, or DTW, sorry, and UUs in Traverse City joined with other people out at their airport. Their airport was being used to fly detainees in and transport them to the North Lake Processing Center, which is the largest immigration detention center in the Midwest in Baldwin, Michigan. It's an 1,800-bed facility. So people were protesting, picketing at airports and detention centers. People signed petitions. Flight attendants started raising alarms about safety, because how could you safely evacuate people that are handcuffed and shackled on an airplane? People stopped booking reservations on Avelo Airlines and canceled reservations that they'd already had. In Maryland, people petitioned the government to cancel their regular business with Avelo Airlines. And people communicated on social media about what was going on, and so the movement built. And what we see here is a good example of the variety of ways that people found to make their views known, to make a difference, to try to stop the transportation of people to detention centers. What we see, and Julia alluded to this, is each action can build to a tipping point. In early January, Avelo announced it had canceled its government contract to transport detainees to immigration detention centers. They had just lost too much business. What happened when a government pressured ABC to cancel the Jimmy Kimmel Show because he was speaking out against that government? Disney is the owner of ABC. People started canceling their Disney subscriptions. I saw on social media people from other countries that joined in solidarity because they know that if this takes hold in the US, it's going to affect them as well. It was only a matter of a few days, and Disney and ABC rescinded, and Jimmy Kimmel got put back on the air. So I share these examples to help us see the variety of ways that we can be involved in these movements. We can pick the thing that works for us. We have attorneys that are doing all kinds of work in different movements. We have social media people, we have independent media, podcasters and others that are bringing information to the public that we're not hearing in traditional corporate media. Each person picking based on their skills, their interests, their abilities, how they can have an effect in a movement that's building to a tipping point. Julia talked about the 3%. Two political scientists, Erica Chenoweth and Maria Stephen, studied hundreds of resistance movements across the 20th century. They found that nonviolent movements were 2 times as likely to succeed as violent movements. And they established the 3.5% rule. They found that every nonviolent movement that mobilized at least 3.5% of the population at its peak achieved its goals. Last year, at Capitol Day, hosted by Michigan United, which is a Michigan nonprofit activist organization, their theme was, "We are the 3.5%. Now you might be thinking, 3.5%, that's not many. Someone else has got this, right? No. It takes many, many people to sustain 3.5% activism all the time. Each person coming in when you can, doing what you can, stepping back when you need to. That's how we sustain a movement. In the US, 3.5% is about 12 million people. In Michigan, it's about 350,000. It takes a lot of people, but still just 3.5% to push back, to make a difference, to achieve an outcome, whether it's LGBTQ rights and safety, combating poverty, addressing the issues of affordability of housing, and of course, the immigration crisis that we have going on right now. Ask yourself this: what does an authoritarian want to see? They want to see everybody getting in line, nodding their heads in unison, right? So our movements, our actions need to be visible. All those examples that I gave were people finding ways to be visible. We send out action alerts. Our State Action Network sends out action alerts to people that summarize an issue and give a specific set of instructions on what to do. It's often calling an elected official or signing on to a statement or something of that nature. We often remind people in those alerts that if nobody hears from you, if no one hears from me, they can assume that we agree with what's going on. So let's all take that away today. If I say nothing to anyone to make visible that I agree or disagree with something that's going on, they can assume what they want. So if you have a phone, you can make a call. You can send an email. Maybe you can attend a city council meeting or a school board meeting and address an issue in your local community. If you're interested in protesting and have never done that before, find others to go with. There are people who are doing this all the time, people like myself and Julia and others. We're happy to have you come with us. It's more fun, it feels safer, and you're going to meet all kinds of people that you will be glad to meet. So thank you. One person can make a difference.
The mission of Birmingham Unitarian Church is to be a free, and welcoming religious community that encourages lives of integrity, learning, service, and joy. One way we live out this mission is by supporting and giving half of our weekly offering to a nonprofit organization that shares our values or addresses needs in the community. To suggest a nonprofit for donation, please check the BUC website under Justice to find the application form. Our offering recipient for January is the Welcome Inn. We'll see a video now about the Welcome Inn.
More than 771,000 people are homeless. Homeless adults have an average monthly income of $662. Over 49% have a long-term mental or physical disability, and 57% of the chronically homeless are Black. At any given time in Oakland County, there are approximately 1,200 people experiencing homelessness. Of the 1,200 plus people experiencing homelessness in Oakland County, 50% are male, 46% are female, and 4% are trans or non-binary. By race, 60% are Black, 29% are white, and 11% are multiracial or other. Approximately 400 people in Oakland County are chronically homeless. This means a person has been homeless for at least 12 continuous months, or 4 times in 3 years. 10% of those who become homeless each year become homeless for the long term. These individuals use 50% of all available resources. The homeless don't need pity, they need help. Since 2003, Welcome Inn has provided emergency winter shelter and year-round access to food, clothing, case management, medical care, and showers/hygiene care. During an average 18-week winter season, Welcome Inn serves over 12,150 meals, cares for over 250 unique guests, and accommodates 60 guests daily. They also provide 600 bus passes, facilitate over 500 shower visits, 600 loads of laundry, and 200 medical service meetings. Based in Royal Oak, Welcome Inn is a place where hope grows and lives are transformed. We support real people with real feelings and real emotions because compassion strengthens our whole community.
BUC volunteers help in a number of ways, including short-term or one-time opportunities. They work in the clothes closet, bring in food supplies, serve lunch, make purchases of emergent needs for which BUC can cover expenses, and either deliver these to the shelter or to Annis Pratt at BUC on Sundays. The ushers will now receive this morning's offering, given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude, and dedicated to the good work of the Welcome Inn in this congregation.
Spirit of connections and love, bless the many ways we resist. Those who march and organize, those who cook, donate, and write, those who tend to the weary, who pray or hold vigil, those who say, rest now, I'll take this shift. Let this wide circle honor every offering, visible or unseen. May we release the myths that define resistance in certain ways and remember instead the truth of shared power. May this be our prayer, to sustain one another's courage until quiet faith and public fire become one movement of love. We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. The joys and sorrows of the congregation that are shared with us this morning are these. A joy from the Casolari family, as you may have noticed. Oh, she's back. Violet Casolari joined the family on November 9th of 2025, and Enzo is a great big brother. A sorrow from Kelly Taylor. Her 61-year-old cousin has been admitted to hospice care after a lifelong battle with anorexia and bulimia. Mary Dunn asks for thoughts and prayers for healing for the people of Minnesota. Horrified and saddened by the fatal shooting of Alexander Preddy by a federal immigration officer in Minneapolis yesterday. We remember those experiencing losses and those facing health challenges. We pray in whatever way we pray for all those affected by war, by hatred and violence. We pray for peace. Even when the cares of the world weigh on us, may we find joy in our connections with each other and in the pleasures that life holds. Let us take care of one another and ourselves in all the ways we can. Let us make this a safe and welcoming place for all. On this fourth Sunday of the month, we light candles of remembrance. If you wish to do so, please come forward now to silently light a candle or light a candle wherever you are in remembrance of a sorrow that weighs on you or of a joy that lifts your heart. as we hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. Whether spoken or unspoken, let's take a moment to be quiet together. Now please join in singing Spirit of Life.
Today's reading, How to Survive the Apocalypse by Sean Parker Dennison. First, learn to listen, not only for enemies around corners and hidden places, but for the faint footsteps of hope and the whispers of resistance. Hone your skills. Aim your heart toward kindness and stockpile second chances. Under the weight of destruction, we will need the strong shelter of forgiveness and the deeper wells that give the sweet water of welcome. We have a place for you. When the world ends, we must not add destruction to destruction, not accept a beggar's bargain. To fight death with more death, in order to survive the apocalypse, any apocalypse at all, we have to give up. We have to give up the counterfeit currency of self-sufficiency, the mistaken addiction to competition, the lie that the last to die has somehow survived.
Before sharing this morning's special music, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the piece. All of the music you've heard today is music as resistance, and music has been used as resistance for ages and is one of the things that can bring us together in our protest. The piece you're about to hear is called Credo, I Believe. It is adapted for solo piano from the original work by Margaret Bonds, which was written for solo voices, chorus, and orchestra. Bonds composed Credo in 1964, setting the text of the same name by W.E.B. Du Bois. At the turn of the 20th century, the Black sociologist, historian, and civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois imagined a world that defied the realities of Jim Crow America. In his prose poem Credo, he stated his belief that all people deserve, quote, the space to stretch their arms and their souls, the right to breathe and the right to vote, the freedom to choose their friends, enjoy the sunshine, and ride on the railroads, uncursed by color, thinking, dreaming, working as they will, end quote. 60 years later, Margaret Bonds found inspiration in his words and wrote a piece of music full of pure passion and soaring beauty, even as violence raged and fires burned across America as the civil rights movement fought on for the promise of freedom and equality, still unfulfilled, but still worth believing in. Let us use our music as a form of resistance.
May have heard it said that resistance is futile. Like the Borg from Star Trek, there are those who think that they pose as an irresistible force. But we can resist however we can. How can we not resist the forces that threaten all that we hold sacred? The act of resistance has meaning and value. Resistance is not futile. Sometimes the results of our actions are quickly evident, and sometimes the results take a very long time. Our Unitarian forebear Theodore Parker claimed, and Dr. Martin Luther King quoted him, that the arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Perhaps it would be more accurate to say that the arc of the universe is bendable, but it doesn't bend by itself. We human beings must do the bending. in order for the arc of the universe to bend toward justice. Religious scholar and activist Sharon Welch, in her book Sweet Dreams in America, provided a perspective on what she called the myth of social change. We work for justice in the hope that conditions will be better in the future, that our work, though partial, will not be in vain, that our children, that people in the future, will know more freedom, more justice, more peace. But Welch recognized that this vision of evolutionary progress was unrealistic. She wrote, "Whether society is better in the future is quite simply irrelevant. We cannot know if we will succeed, or even if we do succeed in some measure, if our gains will not be rolled back or left behind in the face of even greater challenges." Of course, today we are facing greater challenges than we ever imagined. With another person, Alexander Preddy, fatally shot in Minneapolis while protesting aggressive immigration enforcement. According to an article in the New York Times, those gathered near the site of the shooting Saturday night used words like apocalyptic, disheartening, and horrifying to describe what they were feeling. One of those gathered is quoted as saying, "They want us to feel disheartened, to give up in these moments. But I think the city is showing that we are going to be resilient in this moment, and we will rise to the occasion." At a large protest in a Minneapolis park, one speaker is quoted as saying, "This is not another vigil. This is the damn turning point." It's been suggested that the way immigration enforcement agents treat people, whether immigrants or United States citizens, cruelty is the point. It has also been suggested that this cruelty has and will backfire, as ordinary citizens refuse to be complicit in that cruelty. A verse in the book of Genesis has Joseph telling his brothers, "What you intended for evil, God intended for good." Can the universe, using the hands and feet and voices of ordinary human beings, turn the present evil to goodness? Can the arc of the universe be bent toward justice? We resist because we must. We refuse to comply because we can't be complicit. A congregant told me once that she didn't come to church because it made her cry. Maybe the minister isn't supposed to cry, but sometimes Violet and I and others perhaps just need to cry. And church, I think, is an acceptable place to do that. After the murder of Renee Good, I told my son Kevin that I was planning to talk about resistance today. I told him my title, "Resistance is Not Futile," and I told him that I hoped I'd have something to say. He gave me something to say. He wrote this prayerful poem, and with Kevin's permission, I shared it with some colleagues who were answering the call to gather in Minneapolis to protest. And I share it with you today. From Kevin Douglas Grant, January 13th, 2026. Into the hollow face of grave indecency, goodness steps without apology. In her sweet grace, knowing hearts speak familiar names in nervous and terrifying seconds. In chaos, the holy volunteer hollers, "Compassion is strength." Our purpose creates shelter among us. Defiant words and signs draw indelible lines. Our indignation beams like a satellite signal. A call to service arrives from the transcendent why. The burden of bad action grows heavy in them, but our grief is consecration. In our stubborn joy, we are fortified. These Sunday school lessons rise from hand-knitted blankets, our eyes made clear by new tears. The gold-hued stole a banner of our pride and our values. It was made to seem impossible. It was made to feel so far away. Yet hidden hearts await your tender call. Wounded souls await your generosity. Devastating times seek the hope you've tended like a miracle. They ask for your action, your sacrifice. Unitarian Universalist, let not moral injury quell your spirit. You are meant for just such a time as this. Steadfast on the side of love. Amen. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing, Answering the Call of Love.
Today's words for extinguishing the chalice are Beacons of Truth by Mark Morrison Reed. We extinguish this flame, but not what it means. We become beacons of truth, spreading its warmth to others, glowing bright with passion for life and love of justice.
May we live our lives fully and creatively so that we may be a blessing to ourselves, to each other, and to all those whose lives we touch. Please remain seated during the postlude.